Good afternoon, everyone. We're going to start discussing how to locate a good bug out location. But the first thing, before you even think about locating a bug out location, is do you have reliable transportation to get you there? It doesn't have to just be a car. It can be a truck. It can be a bicycle. It can be your legs. Because if you're going to have a bug out location, you're going to need a way to get there as well. Now, discussing bug out locations and where you should go, think about the why you're bugging out. What would cause you in your area to bug out? And let's get away from the EMPs and collapse of civilization and all that and kind of tone it down. My concern, I live on my bug out location, but I have backups as well, because two of my biggest concerns, if the woods catch on fire. That would push us out of our house and we'd have to leave. And of course we wouldn't have to go far because I've got the camper as well. Also, our area has a nuclear power plant. And people say, well, you should move away from there. Well, I can't. I have a job I have to worry about. And I'm not planning on quitting my job over, being paranoid. So those are a couple things to come up with. Think about what would cause you to bug out. I want you to watch all the videos on maps and the videos on notebooks. In the last video, I told you to come up with 2 reasons why you would be forced out of your home or be caused to evacuate from it. And I said we're foregoing any EMPs, collapse of civilization, all that. I want you to think of some type of disaster, something that could happen. And because the main thing I want you to concentrate on is how far away, if it affects your home, how far away do you need to be before you feel safe? And that's what that map's for. You're going to figure out how far away you need to drive for you and your family to be safe from that evacuation, or how far you have to walk before you and your family feel safe. Your first bug out location is going to be your vehicle. That's why go look at the Great Escape videos, because they're going to tell you how to set up. But what happens if you can't use your vehicle? If you're in a city, well, that's when you have your wagons, your pull behinds with camping gear in there. But in either case, what you're looking for in that map, you're looking for a water source to set up nearby. This is one thing that I want you to see, and this is the fire in the background, people getting ready, and they're rushing in and out of the house, getting things that they may need for bugging out. This is why it's so important to have all this in place now, not when the emergency arises. And so I highly suggest that if you haven't seen them, go over and watch the series, the videos on the notebooks, how important it is to have a notebook on hand in your house. Also, problem with running in and out and getting things, you're taking up precious time. Not just precious time to put the disaster behind you, but precious time to get in front of everyone that's trying to leave at the same time. Because all it's going to take is a small accident to block you and your family on the road and come to a halt. If you've been forced out of your home, wherever you live, you've been evacuated, and that's why I said at the beginning of the series, come up with a couple ideas of why you're being evacuated. That way you know just, if you're on foot, you know just how far you have to get away to be safe from that disaster. You're going to break out a map, and you're going to look at that area, the distance you're going to need to get, and you're going to find a place that closest spot to water and with a lot of trees. That way it's a good secluded place you can hide from. Biggest advantage you'll have is you're planning all this out, whereas everyone else that is being forced out on foot, they're not going to look for secluded areas. They're staying out in the open. They're staying on the roads because they're looking for help. They're looking for the government or somebody to come rescue them. So that's a big advantage you've got, is looking at something off the main road, off any road near water, and surrounded by a lot of trees. Once you've located something out on your map, Google it. Go to the satellite Google and look down and check out the area just to double check and make sure it's secure. It's a good place you might have to stay for a while. Once you find that out, that you're fine with it, you need to go there. Don't need to walk there, but you at least need to drive there. You need to take a walk in the area and check it over again personally. So look at the places you can be set up, looking for places that you could hide out. Now, although I'm talking about looking for a bug out location near water and somewhere you can hide in the woods from others, don't hesitate to get up also with like-minded people. If you come up across a group of people that have camping gear, have their own food, don't be afraid to hook up with them. There is safety in numbers. But do not get up with a group of people that have nothing. Don't get up with anyone that you have more than they have, because they're going to expect you to share everything. If not, more than likely, they're just going to take it from you. Also, don't be afraid if you get up with like-minded people, with other groups that have nowhere to go. Don't be afraid to invite them back to your little bug out location as well. But make sure they have just as much, if not more than you, and make sure you can trust them. Sometimes you just got to go by your gut. That's the best way to find out. Let's go under the assumption that you have found your bug out location and it's perfect. Well, you got a nice little stream of water here. You've got plenty of woods surrounding you, and you don't even need anything this glamorous. Yes, if you're bugging out and you come along find anything like this, it's definitely glamorous. This much water coming through, but it doesn't even have to be that. Groundwater also seeping up. If you got the proper filters, these things, groundwater will even help. See, you've got all that. You found your bug out location, but it happens to be a couple days walking distance, or maybe a couple hours driving distance, and then your vehicle breaks down, and you and your family have to foot the rest. One big problem you're gonna have there is not being able to carry all your supplies. So let's go under the assumption that you're bugging out possibly permanently, you and your family. You've got nowhere to go. Either you're driving, you're walking, but you end up on foot, or regardless, heading to your bug out location, you can't carry enough food either in your vehicle or in a bug out wagon or in your backpack to sustain you very long when you get to your bug out location. And it's doubtful you're going to find a whole lot of food around there as well. So what are you going to do? Well, depends on how bad you want to survive, how bad you want to make sure your family and yourself have plenty of food and plenty of supplies. Remember I told you need to go check the bug out location out? You're also going to look for places to hide your stash. You see, you're going to plan ahead, and you're going to stash food in these areas that you and your family will have when you get there. That way you don't have to carry anything. That way if you lose your food on the way, you know you've got something to look forward to when you get there. How much you're going to plant? That's up to you. How are you going to stash it? Well, let's see. There's all sorts of alternatives that you have. Well, let's see. You could always bury it. Make sure your 5-gallon buckets are watertight, and maybe bring a shovel and bury it, or even just find some leaves and push it under. And there you have it. There's your food. Your food, whatever other supplies you planted there, and you can bury them all over the place. Just make sure no one's looking. You don't even have to bury them in the ground. Although, like I did, just put it on top of the ground and cover it with leaves. You still stand a chance of someone coming along to find it. The wind blowing the leaves off. But you can always put sticks, logs, something over top of it so that it'll stay hidden. Make sure you mark your territories where you're the only one that notice it. But depending on how bad you want to survive, or you and your family want to survive, you're going to need to plan ahead. You're going to need to go to your bug out location. You're going to need to find places to hide the bucket. And like I said, it doesn't even have to be buried. There's other locations as well. All forests have one thing in common. They have leaves. They have trees. They have stumps. Take your bucket, put it in there, and then fill this thing up with leaves and sticks, and it'll be well hidden. It's up to you how far ahead you want to plant. It's up to you to make sure you have provisions in your bug out location that you and your family will survive on in case you get driven out of your home for long-term or permanently and have nowhere else to go. I'll give you an example. My wife bought this land years ago as an investment, and didn't even think about having a bug out location at the time. When I started learning about bugging out, having a bug out location, this was a perfect spot. Only problem was if we had to walk it and couldn't bring a vehicle, I knew we would be short on food once we got out here. So I took a lot of my buckets, and every now and then I would drive up here, take a walk on the land, and as you saw, I would bury them. I would hide them. Some I still have around here. If it came down to the point that we had to walk and could only carry enough supplies to last till we got here, I also took a large amount of our supplies and I rented a storage unit. just a small storage unit, and I packed our food, other camping gear, a lot of other stuff in there, and a couple little buggies we could pull, because I had a plan. This was a storage unit that we had to pass by if we had to walk or even drive on the way to our Bugout location. I could stop in there. And yes, the place was closed, it was abandoned. I made sure to have a, it might not go so well in the backpack, but you might be able to carry it by hand. You might be able to take it in a Bugout pull behind. But one thing you want to add to your preps, and that is the key to the city. You know, cut through chain link fence, padlock, most padlocks, but that's how we're going to get in the storage unit. Of course, I had my key to it as well. And it was close enough where I knew I wouldn't be able to carry everything, but would at least be able to get some stuff to the land. And it was close enough where I could get there and back in a couple plus hours to get the rest of our supply. So it's all about being prepared and how prepared you want to get, whether you're going to survive or not. But let's just hope it never happens that, you know, we're preparing for nothing. Hope for the best, prepare for the worst. Have a great day. Can your Bugout location be too far away? Absolutely. My rule of thumb is I would never make it further than what I can reach on my tank of gas. And I'm not talking a full tank of gas. You got to figure out what level you can keep in your vehicle constantly, all times. I never let my car get below 3/4 of a tank, and I don't let my truck get below half a tank. But still, the car gets me 400 miles. The truck would only get me 300 miles. And you don't ever want to have to stop for fuel. Might not be any left. Might be lines of traffic waiting on those fuel pumps also. You don't want to strand yourself. You want to be able to go directly from your home to your Bugout location. And because I wanted to expand my distance, my truck, 35-gallon can of gas, 35-gallon can of diesel. Pulling my camper and my car pulling the trailer, we can get anywhere in 1,200 miles. And don't forget, you may be stuck in traffic idling also.